Hi everyone, I'm here with my friend Kristi, and we're back on another episode of Tina's Arena, and she's here to share with us a story too.
Very excited. Well, thank you for having me, Tina. So, it was a really nice sunny day, like it is outside today, and I was walking in town. I live in a small town called Essex. I remember thinking to myself how grateful I was that I was able just to take a walk midday, grateful that I could stop at the grocery store and just like pick up whatever I needed, including a snack to take with me on the walk. Grateful that I was going to end up at like a local cafe and then a park afterwards to do some of the work that I have been co creating over the last 5 years. I was a teacher before. And so this to me just felt like such a luxury that I had given myself after leaving my full time teaching position. So, to move forward a little bit, as I'm walking out of the grocery store, I've never, like, I know what gratitude is. Like, that word makes sense to me logically, but the actual feeling of fully feeling that, and I'm sure that I could feel it deeper than I did that day, but something shifted inside of me, and I just knew that I was feeling gratitude, like, on a whole nother level. And so then I'm walking through town after doing my grocery haul. And as I'm walking, I looked over to the right, like just intuitively, I felt called to look to the right across the street. And I noticed a man sitting on a bench. And again, paying attention and being aware of my thoughts, all of a sudden I heard myself say, like, that person's not alive, like that person is dead. And then I started to get a sense too that he had been like in a motorcycle accident or that there was a motorcycle of some sort and that he had been really injured and hurt. But also I was feeling like a ton of excitement as I'm walking, still like keeping eye contact with this man. And so if you're watching this is going to be like video for them. Okay. We're going to get visual now. So imagine this is like the bench. Literally, he was sitting on the bench facing away from me, but I could still sense that he could like feel me watching him. And this is how I knew because of how like perfectly still he was, like as if he were an actual like still portrait. Like he was actually not physically there. He was wearing a leather jacket. Like I can remember the details as if it was yesterday. He was wearing a leather jacket and it had like a white band stripe like down the middle, almost like reflective type, which again speaks to like motorcycle. His helmet, his like shiny black helmet was sitting on the bench next to him. He was wearing light jeans. He had like really flowy, like grayish, blondish, kind of like shaggy hockey player vibe, like hair. And he was definitely older than myself. Kind of put him in like my parents' age range. And again, I was only seeing the one side of him. Interestingly enough, there's a reason why he was turned that way, and I'll get to that point in a second. But yeah, in that moment, I just knew. I'm like, there's something off here, and I know that what I'm seeing isn't actually something that is like he's not really there. And there was also no motorcycle, which I found very interesting. So, anyways, long story short, I eventually turned the corner and could not stop thinking about that specific moment. Like how he didn't move, how he was just so still, how I really could feel and sense everything that he was thinking. So, this is going to make a lot more sense when I explain that not long before this happened, I hired a coach who became a spiritual mentor. I was very drawn to her because she is a psychic medium, and I originally wanted to take part in just an intuition course that she had happening because I have a podcast that's called Intuition for women and teens, and I've always been really drawn to like soul-led living, energy healing, all of those sorts of things. And there's a fascination that I have with mediumship and being able to connect with people on the other side. And so I had only been in connection with this mentor for, I want to say, a little over 3 months when this actually ended up happening. So what I did was turn the corner and reached out to my coach, told her about what just happened, and asked her essentially what the fuck was going on. Because to me at the time, like it was overwhelming because it wasn't something I had ever experienced before. Not to mention just like it's the feelings that you're feeling. It's not even so much what's happening, it's the feelings that you're connecting with. And so she confirmed it. She ended up regurgitating back to me everything that I saw, which is exactly when I knew. I mean, I had also experienced other readings with her where everything she says is spot on. But she was literally able to tell me exactly what I saw without me even sharing with her. So that was confirmation enough in itself. And then the larger confirmation came when I actually ended up realizing, going back into my memory log, of a time where I actually attended something that was a memorial for this person. And I ended up connecting who it actually was. I ended up researching the person online and realized who it was, and then connecting and remembering, and it was in fact the person that I seen. Yeah, which was just a really, really intense experience. And the only way that I can really use to describe it, because I've had people ask me before, because it is a story that I've shared before on my podcast as well, is just that it was like my physical body was here, but we all have like these intuitive senses, and we have these clairs that we can use to actually connect with things on a larger scale, to put it simply. And that day, my clairvoyance was really heightened, hence the gratitude that I was feeling. And what I imagine is I projected out into my physical reality what I was actually seeing in my mind's eye. And it was just one of the coolest experiences getting to connect in that way. So what I do now is mediumship readings. I've since obviously taken up mediumship myself, but never again has somebody come through in the way that he did that day. And so that is just one of those stories that I feel like I used to be afraid to tell people, and now I'm excited to tell people, because I just, yeah, like, why not share what an experience was like for you, even if somebody can't really conceptualize or understand because they haven't experienced that for themselves. I know that when I heard stories like that from my mentor, it's what really drew me in, and then it was in fact what ended up opening up this gift for me. And so that's my story of seeing spirit on a random, I'm going to call it a Wednesday. It was probably a Wednesday.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have so many questions. So you said you went to this man's memorial, so you knew him, or like
Memorial?
just knew of him?
Yes.
Memory.
His family put together an event in his memory, one that I had attended back before me and my husband were married, back before we had our children. And so it didn't really click. I mean, I remember being there that day, and yeah, it all came full circle, which is really wild. But it was like, it had been years, years since I even thought about that one event that we had gone to and that he invited me to, but I didn't know anybody there. It was still back when we were like just getting to know each other. So yeah, just interesting how things like that come back around. Still, honest to God, not really understanding what the reason was, like why it was hit, why it was that specific person.
That's what I was going to ask. Was there a message that he was supposed to deliver, or was there something that you received?
To go back to the one point that I pinned about like his face being off to the side, the one thing that my mentor picked up on was that the one side of his face was like really disheveled. So yeah, there had been definitely like trauma and things that had happened, but the way that he actually passed away was like more traumatic. And so there was this sense that day, like I could feel his excitement knowing that I could in fact see him, but I could also feel the angst. And it's, so to explain it, because I don't want you to think that like on the other side, like those are feelings that you can actually embody, because it's not. Once you cross over like love and light, like that's all there is to my understanding. However, spirits, guides, like the way the energy channels, it's still able to send you like what they would be feeling, like if they could express it to you as like you're living it in this 3D reality versus like the 5D where we can connect energetically. What that person was trying to show me was that there was just still this sense of feeling like really lost, a lot of angst, and a lot of like just feeling like very like disheartened that things happened essentially the way that they did, especially when it comes to like leaving behind those that, you know, we love. So yeah, just that message in itself just really resonated. And of course, just like the gratitude also that I was feeling that day, like the gratitude for having the ability, the opportunity to still continue to nurture those relationships, nurture ourselves, all that stuff.
Before this started happening to you, or before you started leaning into the energy and medium work, would you have believed any of this to be true?
I feel like the conversation around mediums or people who had that ability, like it definitely really interested me. But because of the conversations that I heard around me, there was no way that I actually thought that that was true. It actually even really took me a long time after that experience, even with all of the confirmation that I had, like I was still trying to convince myself that what had happened actually hadn't happened because it was still so new to me, and allowing myself to actually believe in something like that didn't feel safe. Now with more experience, honestly, the only doubts that ever come in for me are other people's doubts because I can feel their energy. And so, yeah, it's just challenging those and then coming back to the evidence that you have.
Funnily enough, I was just listening to Abraham Hicks on the drive here.
I'm obsessed.
They were saying that anyone can channel source and wisdom.
This is true.
So how do you channel?
I get into alignment. This has been like a 5-year journey for me so far, and I am definitely still learning what I can say though and what I know to be true, especially even just in the last few months as things have been shifting rapidly for me. It's all about being in alignment with the feeling that you are desiring to feel. But it can't just come from a place of like your words, like the energy has to match that. In fact, your words don't even really matter that much. It has everything to do with your energy. And so reverse engineering how you want to feel becomes really important. At this stage in the game where I'm at versus where I started, the habits, the way I go about it definitely looks different. So I would never want to tell somebody a specific something that's going to work. The one thing that you have to do is you just have to get still. I remember one time hearing when I was like really frustrated and felt like I couldn't figure shit out, which was like almost every single day, every minute of every day. I remember hearing the answers will come when you make space to hear them. And that day, the only reason I heard that was because I finally decided to just slow down this like self-induced mechanism of doing. And I was just like, I just need to do a breath work or something. Like I just need some stillness. And as soon as I laid there, I heard the answers will come when you make space to hear them. And then I just felt that shift. It's like all of a sudden you create this connection within yourself. And from that place, there's no way that you won't start to create thoughts that are aligned with that energy source. And when you take action from that place, it does create the results you want because you're aligned with the frequency. If you're aligned with the frequency of lack and you're taking action from that place, you're going to get creations that are of lack. Versus if you shift the dial and focus on your satisfaction for things that you have in your life, focus on the joy of things that you already have, focus on the end, being present in the end. And then whatever you think you need or want out there in the future, like it's already here. It's just about aligning and resonating with the frequency of it. And so that's a really long-winded way of saying that I just opt in on getting still when I can and still living like a real life. Like I'm a mom, I have 2 kids. The energy's always fucking bouncing around here. It's up and down and it's all over the place all the time. So I have just found in like these micro moments of just being able to like I love shuffling my cards. You don't have to have a tarot deck, like just cards for me. An actual, like you see how I'm sitting here with a cup of tea. This actually regulates and calms my nervous system. Just holding something warm and sipping on something, walking. But yeah, it's not just doing those things because you feel like, okay, so I want to get more tapped in. I want to tap into my intuition. I want to hear more of this collective consciousness and actually be able to use that power source to create things in my life. If you focus on it from a place of doing, like I have to do this to get that result, it's counterintuitive. You just have to understand that you are worthy of just being and feeling good. And then the answers will come.
And that's crazy to think about.
Of course it's fucking crazy.
That like, this is my understanding, or the things that I've been learning too, is that you just have to let it happen and receive and stop forcing.
Yeah. And I know that for so long, though, I have been battling with that idea, even though it's what it kept coming back to over and over and over again for me. And it is so true that once I finally just allowed myself to trust, it always works out. And you actually have evidence of that in your life now. It's just we have also been choosing over and over again to not see the satisfaction that we are capable of like tuning into that's all around us. And then the more you do that, the more it creates more of that. But it's not really more externally that we want. It's just
No.
more internally that we want to feel and that connection that we want to be feeling daily.
This is just the smallest example, but I've been reading more about this spirituality and source and stuff lately. But I went to Riverside's Windsor Salsa and Bachata is a group in Windsor, and they hold a Riverside dance by the river every Wednesday night. And there's a tiny parking lot next to the salsa spot. And so obviously in your head, you're thinking it's going to be full. Where do I park? But I just pull up into the driving spot anyways. And as I'm pulling in, I just think to myself, I'm going to get a parking spot. And then I pull in and there's a car leaving.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah. Like, and I'm talking the smallest of things. Like, my gosh, I could go into like big magical miracle moments that have happened for me over the last 5 years. And I would say, especially in the last year, because things have been really anchoring. I almost feel like in my like physical reality, it's like I'm really starting to see those things take shape. Like essentially I'm noticing them. They're coming more into focus, whereas before they were just kind of like hiding in the background. And I just wasn't aware of them because that's not where my energy and attention was. Like I've had people come into my life in timing that just feels like way too divine. Also, people that are coming back into my life now, like that knew me in a stage where, like, say it was like high school, for example, and now like doing readings for them at this point in their life, because they've lost somebody really close to them. Even just like my husband losing his father, I would say pretty much like he lost his father in July. And most of my gifts really came online, or they really came into my awareness. Like I want to say a few weeks after that happened, which was also pretty intense. And then there was a bigger moment where my meme, who just passed away recently, I ended up speaking at her funeral and was able to actually like essentially channel the entire message of what she wanted to say at her funeral. And I know that it resonated with everybody. And I know that there was so much of her in it, probably because I was always able to tap in and tune into her energy, of course, right? It's really their essence that we're sensing. But yeah, just in the way like that whole eulogy essentially like came through, it was just really beautiful to be able to share that. And then also have like my mom sitting there like witnessing that was probably the first time that my family really realized how connected I was. Especially to those who have passed. And then after the fact, though, because I was clearly very nervous about doing that, and it wasn't something that I was just like voluntarily raising my hand for, but I did do it. And then the following day, I remember I was laying out front in my front yard. My kids, my husband, they were like rolling around on the grass and playing together. And I had my headphones in. My Spotify loves to do this to me. It'll just randomly all of a sudden switch to a song that I was like not expecting. It's not on my playlist. I never know how it happens again because it's just a synchronicity that happens. And the song that played was the most beautiful song I've ever fucking heard. It wasn't even in English. It was like Imber Yonje. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But I did end up translating it later, and it means in your presence. And so this musical melody starts playing, and all of a sudden it's like a complete overcast day. The clouds opened up and formed the perfect shape of a heart above me. And then right below it, the letters EVY also like appeared in the sky. And I'm talking like complete cloud overcast. So wherever, like it was just the heart and the letters EVY that were openings, and like the light was shining through them. And EVY, my meme's name was Evelyn. And we used to call her Evie. So, yeah, There's a lot. I have a lot of stories, but those are some of my favorites. Yeah, that I'm really excited I got to share. Do you have more questions for me? I can see your wheels are turning.
I think it's just so exciting that you get to experience that, and I think it's
Mm.
amazing that,
They,
everyone can.
yeah, now the messages are coming through. I just heard everyone can. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. It's important to say that, and it's never to say it in a way that like diminishes the way that you do it. Because I've also heard people say, like, yeah, well, like anybody can do that. And it's like, yeah, but nobody can do it in the way that you can. Or, for example, if there's anybody listening who's like, oh my God, like I'm totally resonating with this, because I know that there will be somebody
Hmm.
who maybe just hasn't found that way to like share their gifts yet. Or because they're also thinking like there are a lot of people doing this that I'm aware of. So, like who's going to listen to me? And it's like, but only you can share the messages in the way that you can. So, um, yeah, anybody can do this. And you don't even have to do it in the way that I do it because you're not meant to. It's really awesome to be able to connect with yourself in this way because life just feels more alive, is literally the answer that I would give to that. Like, it's so cool to be able to co create with your intuition. Yeah, and just to know that you're creating your life from this space of connection, freedom, and just simplicity. Honestly,
Hmm.
those would be the three words to describe it.
I love that, and I think that's a beautiful segue to talk about what you're currently co-creating with your intuition.
So something came through today, which is really exciting. But okay, so currently what I'm working on is, well, I have the podcast, which has been my baby for a while. And you know this because you've been on back in the day too, when it was Confident Teen, which is where I started. After I left my full-time teaching position, I was mentoring teens. That was like post-pandemic. A lot of them were struggling even just to go back and get their credit. So that's really the space that I landed in and helping them develop their emotional intelligence. I'm still helping a couple teens right now too. It's something that I haven't been able to fully let go of because I feel like it's at the heart of everything that I do. But yeah, the podcast is 100% a space that I would invite anybody to come check out.
Mhm.
There's a lot of really incredible guests on there already. So many people, so many coming too that I'm really excited about. Actually, I'll drop a little hint. I have, oh, not a hint. I'll do a name drop. I have Nita Bushman coming, or I always say her name wrong. It's Nita Bushman coming in a few weeks. She's the author of That Sucked, Now What? So
Mhm.
that's an episode that I'm really excited for everybody to hear. But like I said, so many incredible episodes. Like there's over 150 at this point. So yeah, that's my favorite space. I also do soul readings. So exactly what I said about just being able to co-create, channel messages for other people, offer them spiritual guidance, connection with loved ones on the other side if that's something that they're open to. And then I obviously use the cards because I just love tarot. So I do daily channeled messages on my Instagram page, just another way for people to connect with the energy and just really feel into what's resonating with them. I really like to think that just by showing up in that space, I'm helping you to tap into the frequency that you want to be a part of. And then my soul alignment journey. So, this is a monthly community that I am hosting, and it's just been really incredible. I do one energy healing session, so one live call at the end of every month. And throughout the 4 weeks, like we go through 4 specific themes that we just keep rinsing and repeating. And it is a process that just builds on itself. Yeah, it just kind of takes you on a more in-depth journey of essentially accelerating the direction that you want to continue moving in and just the clarity that you are open to receiving. And then just randomly today, I started channeling a what I believe is eventually going to be a guide for intuitive practitioners,
Mhm.
with specific messages based on exactly what you asked, which is like how to stay connected to source, how to stay in alignment. And so, yeah,
We actually started our journey together a little bit with our Reiki classes
I
that
know.
we did
I
together.
know, that's so true. Yeah. And like thinking back to that, like, do you not agree though, Tina, that My God, if I think back to Reiki, that feels like that would be a moment specifically too in another story where it's like that really opened things up for me. And that's just been it. Over the last 5 years, it's just like looking back, I was just following my intuition. I didn't know what I was doing. I did, but I didn't know that I knew that I knew that I know exactly where I always need to be. Does that make
Just
sense?
following, I mean, in layman terms, maybe following
Oh my gosh.
the interest.
100%. It's following the feeling. And it doesn't mean that we have to be feeling good every single moment. There's also a lot here to do with like the contrast and how like that pulling back is also a really powerful way of like propelling us forward. So yeah, just learning to co-create with all of it, but that's also being in alignment is allowing yourself to sit in those darker spaces and those energies. It's really just about trusting yourself.
Where can people find you online if they're interested in this and they want to learn more about you or work with you?
Yeah, so the best place to find me, yeah, I can't say enough about it. Just follow the podcast, share it with anybody who you think would be interested. Intuition for Women and Teens. And I'm most active on Instagram. I'm also on the Tiki-Talkie. But yeah, Kristi Simon's coaching on both of those, or in both of those spaces. The podcast, like I said, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. And then Kristi Simon's coaching is also my website. If you do /download, there's actually a meditation there, a gift to you. Yeah, just to align with the energy of your soul. So if you're wondering how you can do that, listen to that meditation. Start there.
Yeah,
And see
and
how
I
it goes.
guess I could spell it for anyone listening. It's Kristi.
Oh, yes. Simons. I get Simmons a lot, Kristi Simmons, and my husband's name is Richard, so Richard Simmons. So it's not that, it's Simons. It's the opposite of Simmons.
Okay, thank you. Are there any final messages or thoughts you feel you need to share with the audience today?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the whisper. The whispers. We all have them. We all have this intuitive voice within us that is guiding us. And so 5 years ago, when I became a mom for the first time and everything kind of fell apart to build itself back together, I remember hearing, be brave, trust yourself, take action. And I've gone over and over that message, and I feel like I've really connected to it in different ways over the last 5 years. And the newest way that I am connecting with that now is be brave is really about having this conviction. The same way you know that like the sun will rise tomorrow, the same way you know if you push a cork below water, like it's going to rise and float to the top eventually once you let it go. Like be brave enough to have the conviction that you are fully worthy of receiving everything that you know, you desire, you deserve, you are capable of. Trust yourself is really trusting that you are capable of tuning in and connecting with that source within. And if you ever feel like you don't know how, it's because that is exactly what you're thinking, and you're just producing in your reality what your thoughts are telling you is possible versus what isn't. So trust that stillness will guide you back home to the answers that you are looking for. And then once you find that sweet spot, once you find that alignment, once you come back into that place, take action. And it'll be aligned action, which is way different than doing things from a place of feeling like you have to do them. This is acting on them from a place that you know is going to create good for yourself and good for other people around you as well.
Amazing.
That's my message.
Thank you so much for
You're
being
welcome.
on the podcast today.
You're welcome.